Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dog Classroom podcast. I'm Anne-Marie.
And I'm Amelia.
And we're back in the studio this summer. I think it's been a few months since we were back in here. Things been a little busy. Before we get started today, there is little Miss Zita on the floor here. She's chewing a bone. This is my new dog that I adopted. I think in future podcasts, she's going to come up with different topics and stuff. But today we're having some work done at the house, so she had to come along. So she's quite content there with her Chewy right now, so we're just going to let her do her thing.
Some real life adolescent training
there
going
might
on.
be some real life training possibly happening, but at the point where she's content with her Chewy there, we're just going to go.
Okay.
So Amelia last night and I sitting at the dining room table trying to hash out some different topics for you guys. We like to get creative with it. And, you know, not to say that revisit things, but a lot of times questions from clients, I don't want to say they're the same ones, but sometimes they're quite similar. So we decided to take the perspective of what we find a lot is, you know, we have a course curriculum, right, that we follow, meaning that we have different training exercises that we teach owners to teach the dogs at home. But I think sometimes what's lacking or what people miss a little bit is how to apply those to everyday issues or life in the house.
Right, and I think we were also talking like along the same lines of like you and I have both taken training classes in our past, right?
Right, yeah.
And there's a lot of things that we're missing from like the traditional obedience classes.
Yes.
That we have now decided to explore more in our classes. So I think when we're talking about these real life issues, we can also kind of talk about why we put the things into our curriculum that we did.
Yeah.
Because we maybe felt that they were lacking previously.
Yeah.
So why don't we sort of briefly overview, like what are some of the things that we might do that a traditional class doesn't offer?
Right, and I think I don't want to necessarily say the exercises, you know, because you have your basic ones, like you have your recall, you have your walking, but there's not like 100% rules like you have to do it this way. I think a lot of times it's based on your lifestyle, it's based on the actual dog. So we have, I think the way we approach our classes, it's more for the pet dog. It's more for the everyday lifestyle. So we just wanted to throw out a few things that can be possibly missing. Because, you know, a lot of people now go online with YouTube. We were talking about that last night.
Yeah.
They go online and they watch these training videos. But I think, honestly, the part that's missing is applying that to the household and everyday behavior, and there's different styles of training, and I think it's missed that way. So
well, and just because you see something on YouTube doesn't mean that that's actually what's happening, which we were talking about, because you know they're saying, oh, this magic thing, and then we know a little bit more about what's actually going on in those videos.
Right.
One of the things that like comes into my mind when I'm thinking of things that when I had previously taken classes wasn't even covered is like the handling, the grooming, the vet care.
Yeah.
Those are things that you put into your program because you experienced them.
Right. And I think a lot of people misunderstand what we mean by the term handling. I think sometimes handling, people almost think of holding the leash and moving the dog. I don't know if you've had that misinterpretation. To me, handling is physically touching the dog.
Yeah, and not just like, oh, my dog loves to cuddle, my dog loves to be hugs, pet, whatever. That's wonderful, but that doesn't help you when you have to go and actually trim their nails or clean their ears or whatever, because that's not a nice cuddle on the couch with some gentle petting. You're holding on to a foot, or you're doing something weird to their ear and they're kind of like, oh, I don't know, if you haven't trained those skills.
Because I find when first started as a vet tech, I don't want to say, I felt that there was maybe more time or more puppy visits where the vet would actually take the time to talk about how to clean ears and do nail trimming and those sort of things, where I really find, unfortunately, having a vet shortage and maybe just change in
post-COVID, like you didn't go
there
in
you go, post-COVID sort
and do
of
puppy
thing.
visits and like just bring them in for treats.
Yeah,
right?
so basically go in, physical exam, vaccines, you're out, and it's missed. Right? And so I really think it's something that we definitely add, because what we've even done is in puppy school, we'll cover brushing the teeth, definitely talk about small dogs, right? Brushing the teeth, ear cleaning, nail trimming, but I even find we're sort of seem to be stretching that sometimes into a little bit of beginning with basics as well, because people just, how many people come to you and say, I can't handle my dog's feet, or I'm trying, or they have an ear infection and now I can't get near them to put the ear medication in. So we're encouraging you guys, as even though you're training recall and you're training the walking and the sit stays, it should also be trained the touching and the handling and them getting used to that for when something comes up.
Right. And while you were saying that, I'm thinking also another thing that I remember thinking like many, many years ago in a dog training class was you kind of learn something, right, on week 1 or 2, and then you never see it again.
Right.
And it's just expected that the dog know it.
Right.
And one of the things that I like that we sort of do in our program is we revisit them.
Yeah.
Like you're not just going to do, okay, we're going to work on, sit in week 1 and then you're on your own sort of thing. In puppy play school, we only have 4 weeks. So we're going, okay, this week we're doing ears and teeth. This week we're doing bathing and brushing. This week we're doing whatever. And then that's why it's starting to kind of come up in beginning with basics, because people are working on it and they're like, let's keep going. Like we're getting somewhere. Let's keep working.
But
on
I've
this.
also been doing consults as puppies. They're great, and then once they're 2 or 3,
right,
because it hasn't been continued and practiced, we're getting issues.
Yeah, because we all think, I can do whatever I need to my puppy, so that means they're good with nail trimming.
Right, and then you let that go.
Yeah.
Don't understand that that's a constant thing that you should be practicing throughout the dog's lifetime.
Right, so not only those specific skills, but also revisiting all of the skills, like week to week, and even throughout like the next step. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the time, beginning with B6, people think they're done, and we're like, no, you still have to continue and keep working on those things.
Exactly.
So I think that's like kind of a cool concept.
Yeah.
What about things like leash walking?
So my fun thing, and I get a little bit of a kick out of it each time, is when we first introduce it, people will say to you, I have to walk my dog on the left. And I'm like, okay, so who told you that? Right?
Well, that was a traditional thing, right?
Yep.
So you were supposed to walk your dog on the left back in the day. And if you're doing obedience and stuff like that, like your dog has to walk on the left. But like in real life, and like you said, we're training for pet dogs. We're training for dogs that live with people. They're part of their family. They're in their home. We don't need your dog to walk on one side. We need them to walk on both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
especially if you're thinking about getting into, any type of sports now, because what I would say is majority of the sports, you were practicing on both sides, trying to be a treat.
Yeah, like even like in obedience, right? It's all very much left, but in rally obedience, you start out on the left, and then as you work through the levels, you have to be able to do things on both sides.
Yeah.
And then like we were talking about the example of somebody's walking down the sidewalk, right? Because that's a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You're walking down the sidewalk, someone is coming to pass you. Like if you only have the dog on one side, then you end up just dragging them past. Wouldn't it be nicer to just be able to switch them to the other side? And then now you're in between your dog and the bike or whatever it is. And you can just keep walking without, having a little incident or whatever.
Yeah. I think the sooner that you learn that or accept that you don't have to do that. And again, I find the cute part is that a lot of times the owner says it's the dog prefers to walk on.
Well, I know Nuggie
the
prefers
only one side, but
one side.
how many, but honestly, It's the owner because
It's because I haven't put in the work.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because the owner has only walked the dog on that one side or given the dog reinforcement on that side. So why would they walk on the other side? But in order to, again, have a well-rounded dog, highly recommend walking on both sides. So remember, you're the owner of the dog. You know what your lifestyle is.
Right.
So nobody, don't allow them to necessarily dictate what you have to do. 20 years ago, where they were training everybody to trial obedience, we had to walk the dog on the left. Things have changed a lot.
Things have changed, and I think this is where, like, other topics, so we also talked about, we teach greeting skills, which was like a huge no-no 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't greet the person, you don't greet the dog, right?
Yeah.
So now we're putting in things into the program like hand targets.
Yeah.
And so
Instead of, okay, so let's sort of do a little bit of a kicker of a sit stay in here. I want to do it with the greeting, though, because I had a thought after I left you last night, is, before, in like Amelia's talking, is a lot of times we just dragged our dog by or we didn't do greeting. I find Thunder Bay isn't necessarily one for huge greeting on leash. Right? But when they do greeting, a lot of people just tell the dog to sit, and 2 seconds later they jump on the human and they're like, well, they didn't listen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, technically the dog did sit, but you didn't train a sit stay for them to continue to sit in front of the person.
Why should the dog have to sit there and let somebody touch them, right?
Hey,
and
I
that's
hear ya.
also kind of where you get into a bite risk is your dog going to sit there and stay and let this person touch them even though they're hideously uncomfortable? Because that's the only way we've learned how to greet. So the way that we teach it is they have the choice to greet or also not to greet if they don't want to. And that's where I'm talking about hand targets.
So explain the hand target a little bit.
So when we're talking hand targets for greetings, and I know B doesn't want to do a hand target with me, so maybe that's a great example of not wanting to do one. He's doing it with his mom. There you go. So you put your hand out in front of the dog touches their nose to your hand. And the reason that we do that is so that the dog has something to do, right? Rather than just not jump. So we're saying go forward.
But also, where's the hand?
The hand is low so that the dog is not jumping
it's not
up at the person.
Yeah.
And, most people reach for a dog anyway, so we might as well teach them that means something, right?
True.
And so,
like,
let's just use B as an example. B is a little poodle sitting on Henry's lap, and he's pretty shy, and he doesn't love people touching him. So if I ask him for a hand target, yay, he says, I'll actually do it. Okay, he says, I'll prove you wrong today. He's never hand targeted me before.
But he'll do a hand target, but you reach for his head, he'll cower away. Right?
But see, I'm offering, and he's hesitant. He's like, I don't want to. And that's the thing, is if I continued and I just was like, no, I have to pet the dog, then we might be running into some issues. So I think it's important that we teach them not only that, yes, sometimes you can greet the person, but you don't have to.
Right.
And also, what should you do when you get there? It's not like sit, stay. And everything we were talking about, like everybody's kind of solution to every problem is like, teach them to stay. They're barking at a dog, teach them to stay.
Right, but the problem with the sit stay is nobody puts in the effort at working on the 3Ds, duration, distance, especially distraction. How many times have we seen people put their dog in a sit stay in the middle of chaos, and like the expectations that the dog's going to stay there blow my mind? Because there's no way.
Well, and even in class sometimes you'll see like people go, oh, they don't get it. Like they don't understand. And I'm like, we haven't taught them at that level yet. We haven't taught them that scenario yet. Just because they can sit and stay to take a little cute picture in your living room doesn't mean that they can sit and stay to take the cute picture in the bush or to pick up after them on a walk or whatever other scenario to sit on the floor of the podcast. If we have not taught them those things, they're unlikely to do them. So that's one of the things that I think was missing back in the day from training classes where you didn't learn to greet people because you weren't supposed to greet people. And
the topic, I think, was avoided.
And you didn't learn how to do it if you were going to do it anyway. Same thing with dogs, right? I think we're still probably one of the only ones teaching dog greetings. And that's just because that's what people like to do sometimes. People
And that
wanna
the
be
thing
able
is,
to go
they're
out
doing
and-
it anyway, so why not teach them how to do it right? So Amelia switched a little bit there from greeting people to dog greeting. But how many times have we seen the human go flying with the dog pulling them towards
Yeah.
the other dog, and then it end up in a bit of a disaster?
Yeah,
So,
and when you've practiced it, you can have more controlled greetings. So you actually have a second to say, like, when you and I are out walking, like if someone says, "Hey, can our dogs greet?" We're probably going to say no, right? Like it's not that you have to greet dogs
Right.
on leash. It's just that if you wanted to do it, like if I was out and I saw you, and my dogs were like, "Oh my gosh, we need to go and see B, or we need
Yeah.
to go and whatever."
Yeah.
We have taught them how to do that properly, so
Yeah.
that they're not dragging us over and then causing a fight because they're a mess and
Right.
they're getting tangled and it's not good.
Yeah.
So I think those sorts of things are like new ideas that are teaching. They're maybe
Yeah.
not, super traditional, but
yeah, but to me, there's still manners. I think there's still a need for them, because it doesn't matter whether you're going camping, whether you're walking in the neighborhood, whether you're trialing obedience, whether you're going to agility trials. There's all these things have to do and have a place in there.
yeah.
So if you have some type of knowledge, it makes those situations much more, I don't want to say bearable. What's a better word?
I don't know. It's more relaxed. It's more like you can actually enjoy what you're doing because you're not worried about trying to keep your dog in a stay. When that's like all that you have in your head, that's the only thing we know how to do is to say stay. Like now we have other options.
Right.
So we can do other things.
Yeah.
Which also kind of leads into another thing we talked about, meeting the dog's needs as part of an overall training program. And I
Okay.
wore my Meet Your Dog's Needs shirt today,
Okay.
just for that
Very
purpose.
nice. Yeah.
But we were talking about a dog that I bring to classes where if she had her needs met before class, if she had dog friends, if she was able to see, other dogs and people and all these things, then it wouldn't be so exciting to see dogs and people in that class.
Right.
So we were talking about, my little analogy was eating cake. Like if I like cake and I eat an entire cake and then you're like, here's some cake, I'm probably not gonna be like, yay, cake, so excited. I'll
Yeah.
be like, I still like cake, but like, I'm good, right? Like that need has been met. I don't need any more
Yeah.
of that. And so when we talk about dogs and we're saying like, if you are taking them out for a walk, have they had enough exercise that you're expecting them to march around on a leash in heel? Because they need exercise. We
Right.
have to meet that need first
Yeah.
before we can talk about going on a nice leash walk. Like,
Right.
and I've heard you talk about like throw a ball in the backyard or like
Before
run around
you
with
walk,
them
yeah.
before you walk. So meeting their needs as part of that training to be like, we're gonna do this and then we'll go for a walk and then we're gonna have more success because we've already met that need. Same idea with things like our jumping, like when people are coming to the door.
Yeah.
That was another one that we talked about.
Yeah. That was another one.
Is if they never get to see people, if we just shove them behind the gate and we're like, you stay over there, and then people come in and then we let them out, they're like, woohoo, they get all
Right,
excited.
and this was another thing I was thinking of on the way home is consistency, and I think it's actually going to come up. I wrote some notes on our next one, which is barking. We're going to talk more about barking because it comes up all the time. But the thing for me is consistency, where if like 1 out of 10 times you go get the dog from the door and practice the training,
Yeah.
and then tell us it doesn't work, it's not going to work.
Yeah, we're not being consistent
No.
whatsoever.
Yeah. So it's getting
that's-
the plan, being consistent, and
Yeah.
implementing it each time. And doesn't mean you have to get up every minute or 2 minutes, possibly. Just like today with this one,
Yeah.
Henry was quite entertaining this morning. So
cat.
Yeah, the cat. So it was just about redirecting Henry. So, and again, it's all the skills we're trying to give you to greet people, dogs, outside of the house, and greeting people inside of the house, and when actually not to greet people, which is
Not
sometimes,
to greet people and not to greet dogs.
yeah,
Like that
which
is a thing.
Yeah, and we're, I think, going to get into that again too. The other thing we want to throw out there, and we want to mention again, is reinforcement. Because we have had many clients tell us that unfortunately they can't come to classes because now the dog has a digestive issue.
Right.
And can't take treats. Okay.
Yeah.
Or they're on a strict diet. Okay.
We should do an episode about like different kinds of treats and rewards and stuff.
Yeah,
but we can touch on it briefly.
Yeah, we should. I just realized the time, so maybe we'll go through this pretty quick. But there's other ways of reinforcement. So don't get stuck in your head where going to training class only involves you having to deliver a reward. Yes, the reason why we use it a lot is it is the main reinforcement that we use, and it's been proven, trialed over the years. But we got toys, we got the fact that the dog is there, gets to sniff other dogs, gets to sniff grass. That all it itself is reinforcement, which actually I use a lot in walking and greeting classes because sometimes they're so overwhelmed. The dog walks 10 steps, sniffs the grass.
Yeah.
Done. Right?
Yeah, and I know like with Stark and stuff like that, like even just going to sniff something, going to pee on something, going to, take some space from whatever it is reinforcing.
Yeah.
And then also there's things like swimming, if your dog likes to swim, okay, you walk nicely over to the beach with me. I'm going to unhook the leash and let you go swim.
Yeah.
There's different things that we can use as reinforcement. Like, no, we're not going to have swimming in class, right? Like that's not going to be an option in class, but in real life, instead of focusing on trying to shove treats in their face when they don't want the treats, is getting creative about the reinforcement.
Creative is huge.
And sort of thinking like, what does my dog find reinforcing?
Yeah.
So if I tried to use swimming as reinforcement for Nugget, she would go, no thanks.
Go, no thanks.
That would be almost like a punisher for her.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But if we use it for Z or Ozzy or whoever,
going to the water,
they would find that super, super exciting and very reinforcing, and they're more likely to do whatever behavior we asked of them because that's a big reinforcer.
Yeah.
So something that, also is maybe a newer idea is just not using food as a reinforcer.
Yeah. One last one I really want to get in is real life recall skills.
Yeah.
I think we have a bonus situation where we do it on purpose that we start recall inside.
Yes.
We do that on purpose. I'm not sure if people realize that we do that. The bonus is we have an outdoor space to actually practice it outside, and you'll notice that we'll practice long lines as well. I think the unfortunate part is that people don't put the work in. Like there's a lot of people that will bring their dog into the front yard while they're gardening and doing stuff, which is great in the neighborhood. But the dog sees another dog or human and the dog's gone.
Yeah.
So I think the missing, the practicing of that recall in different environments, especially outdoors, is extremely lacking.
It's those 3Ds. That's the distance, duration, distraction piece. Because again, if you've practiced recall only indoors, only on a 6-foot leash, wonderful. Not going to translate to, 20 feet away from you when there's a dog in the park. If you have not practiced with the distraction of people walking by on the sidewalk, your dog is
That's why I
probably not
say
gonna
the
come
best
to
place you can practice is in your front yard before you even are attempting to go to a park.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Just the reason with that is because it turns into dogs are being hit by a car getting out the front window. One dog is going after another dog. There's becoming an altercation. But so many people, I just don't think they just assume that the dog will be fine until.
Well, yeah, and we hear a lot of the time, my dog is so good at recall, but if there's another dog or person, then it goes out the window, and I'm like, okay, so we're not so good at recall then.
Yeah.
We're good at listening when there's no distractions, when we're really close, when, so we have to work those 3Ds. I think all of these things, like just to summarize a little bit, are things that apply to pet dogs and living with your dog as a pet and a family member and, it's different than it was 40 years ago where dogs lived outside and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So training has changed over time to help dogs fit into our society and our lives a little bit more.
Right.
And all of these things that we've talked about, like having skills beyond stay, walking on both sides, practicing recall and actual
But I think a lot of it is, yes, do the homework, but take the homework on the road. Don't just do the homework in the household. We know they can all do it in the house. We want to be social with our dogs. Like, look at me here right now, being social right now. She's like rocking it.
Yeah.
Very surprised.
We are surprised.
Yeah,
It's a teenage
we
dog.
are surprised. So we're just going to like literally just like keep on going. But then when they do well, it's so rewarding, right?
Yeah. And you're not stressed about chasing her around.
Yeah,
because
but I came prepared.
Yes, you
right? I have my whole bag of Chewies. I got a bag full of treats. I got her bed. Like I came prepared. So take it beyond sits downs, walking and stays, and then apply it to your lifestyle. And if you need help doing that, that's where we come in. Listen to us in classes, how we're trying to help you understand how to implement it in regular life, because I really think that we do that.
We do.
And I think that leaves us unique, because I don't think a lot of other training facilities actually explain how to apply it and why we do it. So really listen to us for that part of it and ask those questions.
Awesome.
Yeah. That was a good one. See?
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in.